geometry. I got it at Target for $5. They have a whole bunch of them, like a whole bunch of different kinds. I was really debating because there's this one with the fake snow and then there's one that's just like a regular tree. I couldn't decide if I wanted the regular tree or the fake snow, but I got the fake snow because I thought maybe it would match the white crystal, and it kind of does, and I like it. Hey dudes, what's up? I'm gonna be reading some more of your guys' paranormal stories. I have a cat hair on my lip. Okay, I'm gonna be reading more of your paranormal stories in this video. I have a couple picked out. Well, a couple means two. I have a few picked out, and let's just get right into them, I guess. Okay, so this first story comes from Cece, and I wanted to include her story because one, it's very interesting, and two, she's also somebody who's new to my Twitch channel, so hi, how are you? So she says, I actually have a crazy story. I've seen and heard things in the paranormal world since I was 5. About 2 to 3 years ago, something bad happened that changed my life completely. I was playing with tarot cards and reading my friends around this time. I always used a protection spell before each session I had done. I did them in my haunted basement/house for a better spooky effect. I noticed the activity in my house started amping up for some reason. Around this time, I was living in both my house and at my boyfriend's house, back and forth. My parents were starting to see and hear things even more than they had already. After all this was going on, me, my boyfriend, and his friend all had the exact same dream. Each of us had almost an out-of-body dream where we woke up in the dream and saw a red light with demonic faces in them. Now, it was somewhat normal for me because I have a gift/curse where my dreams can tell me when bad things will happen or they will actually happen in real life. The night after these dreams, me, my boyfriend, and his father got into a really bad car accident. We crashed into someone from behind. My boyfriend's father had a heart attack while we were driving, but it almost seemed fake. I almost broke both legs, and we all ended up having to get checked into the hospital. I was left with major bruises and almost broken legs, my boyfriend a seatbelt rash only, and his dad admitted for testing. I feel almost as if all the bad stuff that was going on had caused this because after the accident, the spirits calmed down almost completely. I later found out a few months ago from today. My friend who is an urban explorer had an experience almost exactly like mine. His was the exact same time mine happened. He had a bad experience in an abandoned house, and the spirit attached to him caused him to feel sad and cry in his car when he left this place. A week later, he got into a car accident as well, during the same time I had my accident. Could our happenings have been connected because of how close we were, or was it a coincidence? All I know is that this changed my life. To this day, the accident causes me constant leg pain and major anxiety when either me or someone else is driving. I'm terrified when I'm in a car. I hope you like my story though. I have so many, but this is the one that affected my life the most. There's a lot more detail, but I tried to keep it shorter. I for sure feel that both these accidents were most likely caused from pissing off some kind of spirit or entity for a long period of time though. First off, I just want to say I'm so sorry that you went through that. That is absolutely horrible. Car crashes are one of the scariest things. I am so sorry that you are continuing to live with that. But the thing that really drew me into this story is the fact of you and that other guy having similar experiences around the exact same time. That's so strange to me, especially because you both messed with paranormal stuff. Personally, I don't think tarot cards are messing with anything. I read tarot cards and I don't connect them to the paranormal, but then again, you did say that your house was extremely haunted and your parents were experiencing things, so I think that's probably what made things mad. And then the fact that it completely stopped after the event that you went through is so weird. But either way, I'm so glad you're okay and that the accident wasn't worse than it was. Thank you so much for sharing. I know that anything that causes trauma is extremely hard to talk about, so I wanted to say thank you for reaching out, and also thank you for letting me read your story. So the next story comes from Xana. So she says, Hi Ash, my name is Xana and I have watched all your paranormal videos. I find it really interesting that no one else seems to see colors, and only people in shadow/light colors. I tend to see color in clothing. These are generally spirits. I live in the UK and grew up in London. Here are some short stories of some of the paranormal things that have happened to me since I was a child. A child.
Boom. A child.
For the record, I grew up with Jewish heritage, but it wasn't until I was much older that I learned about Jewish mythicism. I recommend if you like occult things, but that also meant that spirits weren't often spoken about. To set the scene, my primary school was at the top of a small steep hill. I lived at the bottom of said hill, and there was a church with a graveyard, a swimming pool, some residential houses, and across the other side of the road was a park. My earliest memory is playing in the playground one lunch, and I was a bit of a loner with some friends. I think we were playing tag in the mud, and I was facing the church with the graveyard. I remember seeing a young girl, probably about 7, sitting on the gate in what looked like a Hessian sack for a dress, and her hair was in 2 pigtails. I really remember staring at her in disbelief, and I saw her smile a black smile. It seemed quite malicious, and I was scared, but the spirit seemed far away enough. She then proceeded to take her hand and run it across her neck as if she meant to kill me. I shook my head and she was gone. This happened over about 5 minutes. She was so clear and in color. Another story I have is about my school taking us to the graveyard a few years later. We had to get information from the gravestones, and we were told to be respectful and stick to the path. If we can't, tread carefully around any headstones that had fallen over. I was feeling something deep in my gut that something didn't want us there. I felt really nauseous. Sure enough, as this was quite a small but old graveyard, there were headstones that had knocked over and smashed on the path, and the other children of my class didn't heed our teacher's words and were jumping all over the graves and headstones. I felt like things were rushing through me, and I ended up passing out in my teacher's arms. That was one of the only times that I didn't see spirits, but only felt them. When I was a little older, it was New Year's Day, and we were traveling after the celebrations of the night before. My mom didn't drive, so we were relying on buses to take us quite a long way. She informed my brother and I that my great-granny had fallen down the stairs and died. I don't feel I was mentally mature enough to realize what that truly meant. It wasn't until we got home that it started to kick in. The flat that we lived in was owned by my grandfather, and he still had some of my great-granny's belongings in the home. We had recently moved me into the main bedroom. My mom slept on a sofa bed in the living room, as I couldn't share with my brother anymore. And it was strange, as while some of my stuff was in my room, it never felt like my room. The room was medium in size and had a lot of things and furniture in it. Along the back of the bedroom was a wardrobe and a vanity in the middle. Every door was a mirror, and then there was a mirror in the vanity area. That night, between the 1st and 2nd of January, I woke up suddenly and saw my great-granny at the end of my bed. She smiles and just stands there. I felt like I heard the words in my head, "Go back to sleep and continue your good dreams." To which I complied, and then realized that this was my great-granny, and I probably wasn't going to see her again. So I opened my eyes, but she was gone. I felt so sad, as that was the last time I did see her. Her spirit didn't reflect in the mirror, but her light did. When I was a bit older, my mom had a medium friend and explained that there were 3 spirits in my room. I still believe one of them is her. Another story I have makes all the mediums/witches/etc. have all their hair stand on end, and they make a noise which concerns me as well. When I was about 14 or 15, I was deep into wanting to be a goth, but looking like an emo. The house I grew up in was a 1939 built block of flats, which I always found imposing, but they were untouched from World War II. I loved theater and musicals, and at that time, my favorite was The Phantom of the Opera. I was watching it and sitting as close to the TV as possible. I knew all the words to everything and sang along. I was feeling particularly sad that day and was crying along with the "All I Ask of You" reprise sung by the Phantom, and I remember hearing footsteps behind me, and I remember looking to one side and seeing a pair of smart army attire for feet and legs for a man. He was wearing smart black shoes and dark olive green type trousers. I felt like I could see every detail. I felt something telling me to look up, but I looked back at the screen at the musical and then looked down to see if it was still there. It wasn't. Every medium/witch has told me that they don't think I would have liked what I saw if I looked up. Ooh, I just got chills from that one. I have more paranormal stories, but these are my younger ones, and I didn't know how to sage or keep safe from spirits. I couldn't bring myself to shout, "Go away." I had a lot of crazy dreams as a teenager, which I later found out that it was a spirit trying to speak with me, by either showing me their life or making my dream a nightmare because I think they wanted me to help them, but I had no idea how. I was probably getting a lot of spirits that were feeding off of my depression, as I had a quite hard childhood and I was often sad and alone. All spirits except for my great-granny have been in color, and I usually get funny feelings near church graveyards. My ears pop, I feel faint, and I feel spirits trying to connect with me, but all at once it's so overwhelming. I like you, can't stand seeing spirits as they terrify me, and I feel maybe I need to take some of this a little more seriously and maybe try to lose some of the connections I have. So the difference that she means is seeing shadow people versus seeing like a whole apparition of something, you know, the difference. Personally, I've only ever seen shadow people. My sister's only ever seen shadow people with a bit of details, but the difference with Xana's stories is that she's seeing the full apparition in the daytime. So it's, instead of being a shadowy figure outside, it looks like a real person until it's gone, you know, like with the girl sitting on the fence. The girl sitting on the fence, ew, can we talk about that for a second? To me, that's a bit concerning that she made the beheading motion to you. That freaks me out, especially since you said you were younger then. It's like she was almost trying to scare you. She knew that you're the only one that could see her, or maybe other people could see her, but you were the only one staring at her at that time. And so she was purposely trying to be like, hey, I'm gonna get you. I don't like the fact that she's taunting, or she was taunting you like that. That's really messed up. But either way, thank you for sharing. Okay, so I think we're only gonna read one more today just because the last one was a little bit long, and then this next one's kind of long. So this next story comes from Kate. And she says, hey, my name is Kate. I'm a new subscriber and I have been binge watching your videos. I've left a couple comments of my stories, but I'm not sure if you see them. So I'm just going to copy and paste them here. I've got a whole lot more too if you'd like to hear them. And I'm sure there's more stories developing soon because my boyfriend's house is very haunted. Also, to add to the doppelganger part, so my best friend passed away back in 2012. And a few years ago, me and my dad were walking through Target, and we both passed by her doppelganger. We both immediately looked at each other and looked back up at her doppelganger in complete shock. That person looked exactly like her and dressed like her too, and they were in the exact area that she grew up in, even though she passed away in Oklahoma. It was insane. I'll never forget seeing that. Also, it freaks me out even more about seeing her doppelganger, is that I got a really weird text from her 2 days after she passed away. After she passed? What? The text came from something that's not even a phone number. The phone number went on and was way too long to ever be an actual phone number. And when I did a Google search on it, nothing came up, and it didn't have an area code either. But in the text, she was basically apologizing for what happened towards the end of our friendship, and explained so many things in detail that literally only her would have ever known about our friendship. I even tried to reply to the text because my initial thought was someone was playing a cruel joke on me, but when I replied, I got an error message. I wish I still had that text so I could prove it, because I know it sounds ridiculous. But that phone was stolen a long time ago, unfortunately. I feel like there's something paranormal about seeing a doppelganger. Maybe not in all instances, because they genuinely could have just been a look-alike, but sometimes it feels like a little more than just a look-alike. I'd like to add a story to the one about the girl's mom coming back to visit her. About 5 years ago, I was living with my ex's family. His parents, brothers, sister, and nieces all lived there. Well, his dad had Alzheimer's and he eventually passed away in the home. It was a very small 2-bedroom apartment, so unfortunately when he passed, the whole family was there when it happened, including his nieces who at the time were only 2 and 6 years old. It was very traumatizing for everybody. Well, fast forward about 2 weeks after his passing, I was playing with the oldest niece in the front room, and the younger one was in between the front room and the kitchen playing with some blocks on the floor. When all of a sudden she stands up and starts reaching toward the ceiling like she's playing with something, and she's giggling the whole time. So I ask her what she's doing, and she points up to the ceiling and says, "Papa," and then starts running around like something is playing with her. And she did this all the time after that. Me and my ex broke up a couple years ago, but as far as I know, she still plays with her papa every other day. It was actually very comforting to have him there with us still. That's so sweet, the fact that he came back to like play with her and stuff. Oh my god, he's like watching his nieces grow up and he's playing with them. It's so cute. I see shadow people too, just like your sister. I've been seeing them for as long as I can remember, but I stopped telling anybody in my family because they would get mad at me for making things up. Or so they thought. I just moved into a house 3 months ago. This house is about 100 years old. Anyways, there's definitely something here. At night, I have my air purifier on so it lights up the room kind of well. I can see things around my room and make out what they are just fine. But sometimes, when I close my eyes and open them a few minutes later, for whatever reason at that moment, usually because my dog wants up on the bed, I can't see anything when I open my eyes. It's just pitch black, and then I can't even see the light from my air purifier. It feels like there's something hovering over me, and all I can see is that black shadow all around me. It scares me, but I also don't have a serious feeling of danger. I think it's just the initial panic makes me feel like I'm in danger. So then I just close my eyes again and open them a moment later, and usually the shadow's gone. It's so weird. But if that's all it does, then I can get used to it. Oh my god. This just happened to me a week ago. I was at my boyfriend's house. What is that? I'm 1,000,000% sure it's haunted. And I'm usually the only one there between the hours of 3:30 p.m. and midnight, because both my boyfriend and his brother work weird hours. His brother usually comes home around midnight, and my boyfriend usually comes home around 2:30 in the morning. Anyways, one day, his brother came home early and I saw him pulling up into the driveway. I'm upstairs in my boyfriend's room when I hear 3 knocks on the door, lightly, just like his brother knocks in case I'm asleep. So I start to get up to answer the door, and suddenly I just stop in the middle of the room. Something in my head told me not to answer that door. Immediately after having that thought, I hear a noise outside and I look out the window, and it's his brother outside still by the car. He never came into the house, and there's no way that he would have gotten from upstairs all the way down to the driveway in that short amount of time. And now I just read a comment that 3 knocks is a sign that it's demonic. I really wish I didn't know that, especially because I'm pretty sure there's a little boy in the house. Ew, I keep getting chills! I've actually seen the little boy with my eyes. He's never given me a bad or demonic feeling, but I've had quite a few experiences with him. So now I'm wondering, is the little boy actually demonic and he's trying to make me think that he's not, or is there more than one spirit in the house? And every time I've ever heard voices or whispering in the house, it's always been a little boy, except once. If you want to, please email me more about like the whispering or any other experiences that you have, especially with like the little boy. I want to hear more. Tell me more. Please tell me more. How you just said that you can get used to opening your eyes, literally seeing nothing. People who have a lot of experiences, I understand them being like, oh, I can get used to it. But personally, if I had more experiences than I experience, I've said many times I don't have experiences very often, which is fine by me. I don't think I could ever just get used to them if I had something happen every other day, unless it was something like things falling off. But I feel like even then it would still scare me. I don't know. But maybe then I'd be like, oh, hey, Jerry, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know why I named the ghost Jerry, but okay. I think that's all the stories we're gonna be reading. The sun is starting to set. The sun sets so early here, you guys. It is 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock and the sun is setting right now. Time change be like. Thank you to everybody who has been sending me your stories. If you want to send me your story or want to send me an update, my email is ashparanormalstories@gmail.com. I'll put it on the screen right here, and then I will also put it in the top bar of the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody. I love my little Christmas tree. I love it. He's so cute. Look at him.